Every single time you stream a movie or just, refresh your news feed, you're actually tapping into this huge, invisible architecture that makes the internet feel instant. Well, today, we're going to pull back the curtain on that hidden plumbing. We're talking about the infrastructure that's not only making our web experience fast and safe, but is also, and this is the really cool part, paving the way for the future of AI.
So here's how we're going to break it down. We're going to start with a really simple problem, the internet speed limit. From there, we'll look at the first brilliant solution, the Content Delivery Network, or CDN. And then we'll see how the web kind of outgrew that simple fix. That'll lead us right into the modern need for real-time performance, and then we'll wrap it all up by seeing how all these different pieces are coming together to build something way, way bigger, the connectivity cloud.
All right, let's dive right in. First up, the fundamental challenge, which is really just the simple and, let's be honest, frustrating physics of distance on the internet.
We've all been there, right? Why does a website that's hosted in, say, Tokyo feel so sluggish when you're trying to open it in New York? The answer is, well, it's just distance. Data isn't some kind of magic cloud stuff. It's literally light traveling through a physical fiber optic cable, and it has to cross thousands of miles to get to you. That travel time, that's what we call latency, and it's always been the #1 enemy of a fast internet.
So to fight this tyranny of distance, engineers came up with a really elegant solution. They basically asked a simple question. What if we didn't have to go all the way to the original source every single time? What if we could bring the content much, much closer to you?
And that idea led to the creation of the Content Delivery Network, or CDN. The easiest way to think about it is like a network of super-fast copy machines placed all over the world. So instead of everyone on the planet having to go to one single central library for a book, the CDN puts copies of the most popular books, or, website content, in little local libraries right near you. And the result? Bam! You dramatically cut down the distance your data has to travel.
Now, it's important to know CDNs were originally built for just one type of content, static content. The best analogy is a printed newspaper, right? The articles, the photos, they're exactly the same for every single person who picks one up. But the web was quickly moving towards dynamic content. And that's more like a magical newspaper that rewrites itself just for you, with your personalized headlines, your social media feed, your shopping cart. Totally different ballgame.
And for that static stuff, the process was it was revolutionary. It was so simple. So say the first person in London requests a picture from a server in California. The CDN's local server in London just goes, okay, I'll grab that, and makes a copy. From that moment on, every other person in London who wants that same picture gets it almost instantly from the local server. No more transatlantic trip. Simple, fast, and unbelievably efficient.
But of course, the internet didn't stand still. It changed. It went from being this digital library of static pages to a buzzing, interactive, personalized world. And that threw a huge wrench in the works for the classic CDN model.
And this gets to the absolute core of the problem. Think about it. How can a CDN possibly pre-store a copy of your Facebook newsfeed? It can't. Your feed is totally unique to you, and it's generated the very second you load the page. Same thing goes for your Amazon shopping cart or a personalized news site. You just can't make a copy or cache something that doesn't even exist until you ask for it. And for a really long time, this kind of dynamic content was considered, completely uncacheable.
So, what was the solution? Well, it was to make the edge, those local servers and the CDN, a lot smarter. And this is really the birth of what we now call edge computing. Instead of just being dumb storage closets for files, these edge servers were actually given the ability to run code. So now, developers could run these tiny programs, like a Cloudflare worker, right there on the local server. And that meant they could build your personalized page much, much closer to you, without that long, slow trip all the way back to the main server.
Okay, so this whole edge computing thing basically solved the dynamic content problem. But, as always, a new frontier was already popping up, the demand for truly real-time interaction. We're talking about situations where even the tiniest, slightest delay could completely ruin the entire experience. And it's really important to get that low latency isn't just one thing. It's actually a whole spectrum. You've got your standard low latency, which might be a few seconds of delay, fine for regular video streaming. But for the really interactive stuff, you have to push way down into ultra-low, sub-second, or even true real-time. And real-time means less than half a second of delay from something happening on a camera to it appearing on your screen. That's incredibly fast. And this isn't just some tech nerd theory, right? These different levels of speed power huge industries. Think about a live auction. A 1-second delay, and boom, you just lost the bid. Or sports betting. You have to place that bet the instant something happens on the field. And for online gaming, especially with a live dealer, that interaction has to feel absolutely instantaneous. In these worlds, every single millisecond counts.
But trying to get this fast hit a massive technical roadblock. See, older web protocols had this major flaw, and it's called head-of-line blocking. The best way to picture it is a single-lane highway. Now imagine one car breaks down. What happens? All the traffic behind it gets stuck in a massive jam. That's exactly what happened with data. If one tiny data packet got lost, everything behind it just stopped. It brought the whole process to a screeching halt.
So, the solution is a brand new protocol, HTTP/3. And if the old way was a single-lane highway, HTTP/3 is a multi-lane superhighway. Every stream of data gets its own dedicated lane. So now, if one packet gets lost in one lane, who cares? The other lanes just keep moving at full speed. It completely eliminates that old traffic jam problem.
And the results? They're totally tangible. Research shows just how much better this is. I mean, one report found that HTTP/3 performed a whopping 12.4% faster than the old protocol in something called time to first byte. Now, what that really means is it's the initial response time that makes a website feel snappy and responsive. And a 12.4% improvement, that's a huge leap forward.
Okay, so let's recap. We've solved for distance, we've tackled dynamic content, and now we're mastering real-time latency. This brings us to the final and honestly, the most exciting part of the story, the moment where all these different solutions start to merge into one single, incredibly powerful platform.
And you can see this evolution play out perfectly if you look at the journey of a company like Cloudflare. They started out back in the 2010s as a pretty classic CDN and security company. Then, big move in 2017, they launched Workers, and that was them fully embracing edge computing. Now you fast forward to today, and they've actually started calling themselves a connectivity cloud, a name that really captures this much, much bigger mission they're on.
Yeah, because it's not just about speed anymore. Not at all. This modern platform is like a complete toolkit for building on the internet. It bakes security, like firewalls, right into the network itself. It makes sure everything is reliable, maybe by using multiple CDNs for backup, and it gives developers these incredibly powerful tools, like databases and storage that live right on the edge. That makes them way faster and cheaper than the old way of doing things with centralized clouds. And this is all pointing directly at the future. There's this quote from Fintera that just frames it perfectly. It says we're entering the agentic era. And what that means is a world where autonomous AI programs, AI agents, are doing things on the internet for us. And these agents, they're going to need a level of speed and reliability that's way beyond what we humans can even perceive. And the connectivity cloud, that's the essential plumbing that's going to make all of that possible.
You can also see this whole evolution reflected in the business model, right? What started out as basically a single product, speed and security, has branched out into this really comprehensive platform. Now it includes those core services, plus a full-on enterprise security suite, and a powerful platform just for developers. It's really become this deeply integrated ecosystem.
And all this leaves us with one final thought to chew on. For decades, we've built the entire internet's infrastructure for humans. But now, as this new generation of AI agents starts to navigate the web at machine speed, the big question isn't just about making websites faster for us anymore. The real question is, who is going to build the superhighways for them? The companies building this invisible architecture today, they're the ones laying the foundation for a totally new kind of internet tomorrow.